Hey everybody, it's Brad.
And I'm Krista.
And we are here to pump
you up.
No, we're going to try and save you some money and get from point A to point B.
Well, that does help pump them up in a way. Encouragement.
Yeah.
That's more like it's more of an encouragement.
Yeah. So let's get cracking. Okay, so this is part two of the part two of the part two.
What?
Right. So what we're going to talk about today, there was a part one, or else there can't be a part two. You can't start with part two.
You could, but that would be really
That'd be silly.
strange, because then you wouldn't know what we were talking about.
Right.
But do we know what we're talking about?
I think so. So what we're going to do today, there was a part one.
Yes.
We're talking about when good budgets go bad. And that sounds like a TV show. When good budgets go bad.
It's
one family against money to feed their kids.
Basically.
Go for it, baby. This makes for good YouTube.
Totally threw me. This is that we're
when you have more month
than money.
Part two. I love you.
I love you too.
So, anyway, we talked a lot in the first part, part one, about different easy things you can do to stretch. The rices, the beans, making your own broth for pennies, making your own breads. This part is going to be more outside of the box thinking. Mm-hmm. You're in this pickle. Hopefully you won't get in this pickle after you've been in this pickle for a while, because it's zero fun to be staring down a whole week of the month and you're looking at your cupboards going, there ain't a whole lot in here.
Right.
So a couple things right off the bat. This part of the video is going to be more of not I go to the shelves and pick this off and make something creative. This is going to be more, like I said, outside the box thinking. Okay, first things first. If you are in summertime, if the time of the calendar year that you are stuck is summer, start looking around at your neighbors. If they are gardeners,
they're going to have a plethora of tomatoes or squash or zucchini. And
guys, we are preparedness people. We do homestead. We can a lot of food, but not everybody does that.
No.
And you will find that there's a lot of people who garden that if you just showed just a teensy weensy bit of interest, they're going to be like, oh, they're like that hen that's all feathers are, oh, really? You're interested in my garden, are you? Here, take these tomatoes. And you don't have to be, you're not coming over being greedy or anything like that, but if you just go, wow, you get a lot of, cucumbers out of that. Do you use them all?
Right.
And chances are they don't.
Well, and you could also offer to help weed the garden.
There we go.
In exchange for a few tomatoes or green beans.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why a community can't work together for the betterment of everybody.
And there's no reason why it has to take cash.
Right.
I'll tell you what, if somebody came over to my house and said, I will help you weed your garden for an hour for 2 pounds of tomatoes,
yes,
4
please.
pounds of tomatoes, I'm there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And while that might not seem like a good deal to some people, I don't know where you live, but right now, tomatoes start at $2 a pound.
That's insane how much.
And so, 2, 4, 6, $6 a pound's not that great, but when you're not paying taxes on that $6, okay. But most of the time, the tomatoes are in the store are gross.
That's what I was just getting ready to say.
Lifeless orbs.
They don't have any flavor to them at all, and they're sprayed and they're grown in a hot house, and
so you're paying $2, $3,
styrofoam.
$4 a pound for nonsense gross tomatoes.
No.
Now these ones, oh my gosh, we love these tomatoes. And yes, these are ripe. They are yellow on purpose.
They're delicious. I can't remember what they're called. We put them in the ground, and I can't remember what they were, but
we like to get a wide variety of the colors. We got the purple Russians. We got
black crim.
These little
San
guys.
Marzanos.
Oh my gosh, these little cherry tomatoes are ridiculous.
Candy. The kids just go in there and just devour them.
Yep. But let's go back to making it from point A to point B. Bartering your time, bartering your effort. Most gardeners would jump at the chance to get help.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I said before, even if they're not canning their own food, which not everybody does, they would love to give you the food so it doesn't rot on the vine or in the ground.
Right.
And so put the word out. And the funny thing about gardeners is it's kind of the word gets around. Let's just say that if you are, interested in helping out, number one, or number two, you'd like to get somebody's excess, gardeners talk to each other. And because they're all trying to figure out better ways to get more yield out of the soil, more this, more that. Hey, what grows well in your area? And they chat with each other. And I guarantee you, if you have a gardener that's 2 doors down or this side here, and you mention to them, hey, if you have a glut of squash, is there something I can do to trade for you? Maybe it's even as simple as saying, hey, I'll wash your car if you give us some fresh vegetables every once in a while.
Right.
And I can only say from my experience and gardeners I know, most of us would say, yes, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or just, no, don't worry about that. And they would give it to you anyway. Gardeners are generally generous people.
For the most part, they're not stingy people.
I've never met a stingy gardener.
Because it's kind of hard to have that connection with, I have labored, I've put the seed into the ground, I've cared for it, and food comes up. It's hard to ignore that connection that you're not as big as you really think you are.
Right.
And it might be a good thing to be a sharing kind of person.
Yep.
So find gardeners. Now, I want to also talk a little bit more about bartering. Craigslist, guys. Every day I go on Craigslist, I find people that are willing to trade for anything. And if you said, I have X, I don't care what it is. I'm a musician, and I generally have musical instruments laying around that I either got at a garage sale or I've had forever, and maybe I don't necessarily need that. Or maybe you've got a kitchen gadget. You can put an ad up on Craigslist and say, I'm looking for 10 pounds of rice. Speaking on barter, Craigslist. Every day I go on Craigslist, you find a billion different people that are wanting to trade for this or that or whatever. Well, the reality, guys, is you probably have stuff sitting around your house that you don't need that you could trade somebody. You could say, hey, I am willing to trade this kitchen gadget for 10 pounds of rice.
Right.
Or whatever. Just be careful, because there are nut bars.
Oh, yeah, you got to be careful.
On Craigslist.
Yeah.
But, meet in a public place, maybe like a parking lot of a grocery store, someplace public.
Right.
Be careful if you're dealing with food. Find somebody that you believe to be honest. I mean, you can never know all the way.
Right.
But if stuff is sealed, if it's sealed,
yeah.
Then consider that. I mean, I'm obviously not advocating that you go trade for an open box of pudding
or meat.
That'd be gross.
Ew.
Don't do that.
No.
Do not.
No.
But if they've got sealed items, it might be worth your time or your effort or your trade.
Right.
So barter is a huge thing. And also, for those of you guys who don't know, we have set up a barter Facebook group.
Right. The Homestead Network Barter Group.
The Homestead Network Barter Group. And there are people from all over the country and world that all you do is you go on, it's a Facebook page.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
It's a Facebook group.
And you go on there and you say, I'm looking for this. Who has this?
I have this to trade.
And it is amazing. People are trading everything from rabbits to combines. We've traded dryer balls so that you can save money on your electric.
Yep.
But there are barter groups everywhere. And when you're stuck and you've got to get from point A to the end of the month, consider barter. Now, another thing. Now, this one, I hope that it's not going to be that off-putting to some of you guys, but we have been in a situation in the past, well, more than once, many times, where you're going to have to swallow your pride and you're going to have to deal with stuff that you may not necessarily want to deal with, like asking.
Right.
Asking friends, hey, could you spare this? Or even, once again, if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can say, hey, is anybody washing your car? Because if I would be willing to do that if you had, blah. And that way you're not sounding like you're begging.
Right.
And, well, that's the reality. But what I was trying to get to, guys, is that almost every city that I've ever seen has food banks.
Yep. A lot of churches have food pantries, and
then,
they're willing to help.
Where the city that we're in, there are many. And there are no strings attached.
Nope.
You don't feel guilty or weird. You go in, they'll open them up at certain times of the month and of the day. And literally, you go in there and it's like a grocery store. And they just ask that you don't get all greedy.
Right.
But you pick. You can even get clothing. You can get all kinds of stuff. And it's not going to be a fee to you.
Right.
In any way. And so look for those things because they're everywhere.
Yeah. Even small cities have them.
Yeah, and you got to get it in your head, guys, that we've all been there. And if you're watching this going, well, sure, it's easy for you to say, we have 7 kids. We have had money in our lives, and we have had nothing in our lives where we're literally praying in faith for things like toilet paper. We know what it's like to go, all right, I'm going to go to the food pantry. And there's no shame in that, guys. If you need it, that's okay. Okay, another outside of the box thinking kind of way that you can make point A get to point B. It's not barter, but it's actually even maybe a little better than that, in that a lot of people, just as you're in your world, driving around, whatever, take note of who has fruit and nut trees.
Yep. A lot of people don't want to pick the fruit off of their trees.
They would be happy.
Yeah, they'd be happy for you to come in and pick the fruit. They get some and then you get some.
Or we've had a lot of people where you just like, hey, are you going to? And they're like, take whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one way that you can get a massive amount of food in a short amount of time,
right,
which will lead to, verklempt and whatnot, which will lead to learning how to preserve your food, canning,
right,
pressure canning, water bath canning, but just keep an eye out because those people are all over the place. Another thing, if you know any homesteaders who may, I'm thinking of one specifically, Laura, DV Homestead.
Yeah.
This young lady, she just got her first cow.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And it ain't a tiny cow.
No, she's like a 1,200-pound cow. And when she has a calf, she gives 7 gallons of milk.
A day.
Yeah.
Now, they're a family of 4?
3.
3?
It's just her and her husband and their daughter.
Okay. Sorry about that, Laura. I thought there was 4 of you guys.
Unless I'm not seeing one, but...
He's very stealthy. Hides in the bushes a lot. He's always digging. I don't know. I'm just teasing.
They named him Mungo.
No.
Just kidding.
Nothing. But she has 7 gallons of milk a day, potential.
Right.
Now, they would either have to be insanely thirsty.
Oh my gosh.
All
There's no
the time.
way.
You couldn't physically consume that much.
You could not consume 7 gallons of milk. One person can't even drink a gallon of milk a day.
And Even if you're like, I'm going to make sour cream and I'm going to make cheese and I'm going to make well, first of all, that's a lot of dairy.
She's going to need like 3 fridges for that.
And yes, I am sure that she plans on bartering things because it's going to be overwhelming.
Right.
Once you get it to that point where, oh my gosh, I can't even store this milk. And that, I mean, we have a mini Dexter cow.
Right. And we get 1 gallon of milk from her every day. And
it's been up to 1.5 gallons. She fluctuates.
Right.
And we're gonna get her with child real soon.
Well, it's been almost a year since she calved, and
so she's kind of tapering.
She's tapering off, yeah.
But the reality is, for our family of 7 kids, 9 of us, 1 gallon of milk is still enough.
Yep. We get the cream off of it for any dishes that we want to use it for. We have milk for cereals. I still have plenty of milk to make yogurt. We made ice cream before with it, and
even still, there are nights or mornings where we're just like, I don't want to do this, and then you just don't care to keep it all sterile, and you give that to your chickens.
You give it to the chickens, yeah.
So there is no waste.
Right.
If you had pigs, it can go there.
Right.
But my point is this, guys. Somebody like a Laura in your world would probably love for you to take some milk off their hands for either a deal or, hey, just help me muck out the running shed once in a while.
Exactly.
Everybody wins. And that's the point with this whole thing, whether it's the fruit trees or the barter, the thinking out of the box. Be looking for those kind of situations where everybody wins.
Yeah, exactly.
If you try to hose somebody over and be like, how about I give you $5 for this thing that you know costs $100?
Right, that's not...
You might get away with it once, but think of the bridge you just burned. It's not worth it.
Nope. It's not worth burning that bridge of someone that could that you could both benefit from.
Right, and so kind of that's where our mentality is always be on the lookout for a way that you can win and the other person can win. And this is the huge part of it. Once you open dialogue with somebody else, and I know it's hard to be like, we really could use X, Y, or Z. Is there anything I can do that you'd be willing to think is of value to help us get where we need to be and you get where you need to be? And once you open that dialogue, guys, you're going to find that relationships can be built that are mutually beneficial.
And lasting.
Yep, and that's why you can't screw people over. If you go like, oh, I'm going to give you $5 for this thing, like I said, you might get away with it once or twice, but you're burning a bridge.
Yeah.
So another thing, just quick, this is kind of a basic recap. If you have a garden, it's free food, guys.
Yeah.
It's labor.
You know, if you don't have a very large yard, you can still do container gardens. You can put a couple of tomato plants in a big storage bin.
And I know this isn't getting from point A to point B. However, this is actually
lift it.
This is pretty heavy. This came off of 2 tomato plants just yesterday.
Yep.
And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more of these little guys on those tomato plants.
Yep.
This is candy. This is veggie candy.
Oh, yeah.
How heavy do you think this is?
5 pounds.
5 pounds for a little bit of effort.
Yeah. The kids come in. I'm hungry. There's a bowl of tomatoes on the table. Go in the garden, and they know they can go in the garden and eat as many tomatoes as they would like. So it's...
And then preserving your food. This is a recap, obviously, but let me show you the gadget again. We love this gadget. You use it with your vacuum sealer to make sure that you save your food. It vacuum seals. This is dehydrated onions. We've got dehydrated garlic, but this fits over the top of a canning jar, and it seals it on. And what's nice is that even though this is literally 5 pounds of dehydrated onions, it's light as all get out.
Yeah.
But we can pop this off, take out what we want to use,
and reseal
it. This will be fresh for years.
Yep.
The point, guys, is always be on the lookout for possibilities, whether it's your neighbor's fruit tree, whether you can help somebody out in their garden, whether you might have to swallow your pride and go to a food bank. But trust me, it's not that big of a deal.
No, it's not.
And we've all been there.
Yeah, and everybody there at the food pantry understands where you're coming from because they've been there.
And they want to help you. They're there because they want to help you.
Right.
They're not there because...
They're not there and standing in judgment.
No.
They're there to help.
They want to get you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to just open dialogue. And you'll be surprised. There's a lot more people out there that are willing to help than you think.
Yeah. There really is.
So in all honesty, I hope that you guys have liked this video. If you like the gadget, it's down below. Check it out. If not, whatever.
Yeah.
Commercial over. Yeah, we're really the tough sell crowd.
Right.
No.
No.
Anyway, check out part A. Share the video around. Our hope is that it honestly does help you. Honestly, we've been there.
Yeah. Yep.
Who's to say we're not there right now?
Well, and that's why we do the things that we're doing so that we don't get back there.
And that is so true, baby. Because we've all messed up on the budget. We've all gone, well, I guess it was a bad idea to buy steak. And yes. And then you go, wait a minute, there's still another week left?
Well, and then there's 2 months out of the year that have 5 weeks in them. Oh my gosh, that's hard.
So there you have it, folks. I'm Brad.
And I'm Krista.
From the Big Family Homestead. And honestly, we hope this helps you out.
Yeah. You have an amazing day.